we need to cultivate in the future. So thank you very much for those things. Thank you indeed. Okay, so our next speaker is Sandra Brantebäck. She is the ISO TC211 chair, and she's come to speak to us about standards supporting strategic work at the County Administration of Västra, Götaland in Sweden. This is Sandra's day job, basically, so we're all eager to hear about it. Thank you.
No, Alan, you're quite wrong. This is my A job. So, thank you for us being here in Wuhan, and I must say the welcoming and the hospitality is so great. So I'm trying to talk to you today about my ordinary work, my B job, and how I can use the standards in my work today. So I will not speak about exactly what standards we are using, but I try to show you how important it is to have standards in my work, and that's why I took this position as a chair of TC211. Just to give a quick brief, maybe you don't know about Sweden, the Nordic countries, but as you see at the right hand, you see the Nordic countries, and in the middle is Sweden. And in Sweden today, we are 21 counties, like the counties where I work at, it's 21. But we work together in certain areas to develop the different standards, different works together, because it's important that we work together in certain areas, such as geodata. So I am responsible for that area for all the 21 counties in Sweden. And you see at the left, I think, from your side, is where I am, Västra, Götaland. I know it's difficult to pronounce, but that is where I'm situated today, but I work for the whole country. We have a very broad mission, and you see some of them here, because we are the government, the national government, we are linked to them in this region. So we are supposed to report back to governments in all different areas. And as you see here, it's environmental issues, nature conservation measures, water-related matters, and social responsibility. It's what the government wants us to do. We do that. So every year we get a paper, what we are supposed to do on that year for the government. I try to change slides here as well. So as I said, we are the government's representative in the county, and the most important thing that we have to do is to report the situation to the government within our region. And for me, responsible for geodata for the whole country, So that's important for us to have a direct link, and it's important that we have, that we can share the data between us in efficient way, because it's sometimes it's really must not take a long time. Sorry, it's okay. Yeah. So sometimes it's going to get fast, because as I will show you later, it's important that it's not take a long time. And we are also the highest civilian total defense authority in the county, so we are supposed to match the military in the civilian way. So this is something that we are building up now in Sweden. But if I take a step back and see what does Sweden says in geodata, and we, the counties, we are a part of this work, but here is the whole Sweden is working together to make this vision work. So we aim to create a common long-term roadmap for all of us working with geospatial data. And we are not there today, but we are working with it together with all the authorities, where we are one part. And data technology must be compatible for other users. And we know that each authority and municipality, we are one of the pieces in the puzzle. So we have to make situation where we can communicate with each other in a better way than we do today. We need to do this together, otherwise we won't be able to complete the puzzle in Sweden. This means that we want and need to develop shared capabilities within certain areas of development, because today and in the future we are unable, should not, or must not do it alone in order to achieve the vision for the geodata domain 2040 for Sweden. And now I will give you some example from Sweden, where we had and we must share data, and for my responsibility was to keep the link up to the national authority ongoing. So we have drought in Sweden 2020, and it was a big disaster for us because we didn't really have all things in place to take care of this, because we are not used to this. We are used to have a lot of water in Sweden, and a lot of water so we can drink it or we can use it for the farming and so on. But when this happened, we had to make it a little bit more, and much more on our toes to keep in this situation. And what we did was we had Coastal Guard going up with the planes and take pictures of the situation was, and we went out and talked to the farmer or the municipality to say that you are not allowed to take water right now because this one is the first one and you are the second one. And this was quite hard for us to do that. But now I think we have much more resilience of this, because we know this is going to happen again. And so we are much more prepared now, because on that time, you see the Coastal Guard, we couldn't take the picture from the Coastal Guard into our systems. We had to print them out and then go with them to the ones who were talking to the farmer or the municipality. Today, we are able to do that. But the communication must, as I say, flow in the system. Another example is African swine fever 2023. It's, as you see on the left hand there, it's a wild boar or pig, swine. And 10 years ago, we didn't have much of these wild boars in Sweden because of the temperature was not, they didn't like it, so they were in the north of Europe. But when the temperature rising, they are coming north. And this is very important that when we discover this, we must take care of it as soon as possible, because otherwise it could affect all the other pig farms that we have in Sweden. So what we did was to came together all the authorities in Sweden, and we sat down and discussed what shall we do, and we started to communicate with the systems, and we even with the hunters who got out in the forest, in the woods, and shot these boars, and we have a direct communication after a while, but not at the beginning, because we didn't have a direct connection between the national mapping authority to the hunters and their mobile phones, so they could see, we can go there, we can go there. But we succeeded, and we are now declared free from African swine fever. And I read when I did this, that the spread is also rapid in Asia for these animals. Another example, landslide in a city called Stenungsund, and there was the highway between Sweden and Norway was just cut off and was cut off for 1 year. And that's very troublesome for us because this is what do you say? The way where we are transporting goods and transporting people so we can share together. So this is really something we have to take into account in the future. So what we did was to work together with the National Transport Authority to share maps, and we have these drones up and have a look at the situation to see what can we do fast here, because we have to make the highway work again really fast. So, but in the beginning, we didn't communicate with each other. We didn't have the systems. So that's why we tried to find ways to communicate, and now we are much better on that. But in the future, we will be more. It must be even better in the future. And this is a disaster that's still going on in Sweden today. We had a ship ran aground in one of our bays and leaked a lot of oils. Even here, if we would have had a system where we could follow the leakage and we could commute with each other, the municipalities, the counties, and so on, I think we could have made this faster, but that's my personal opinion. So this is, we work together to make the cleanup, and this was the municipality who has had a responsibility, but as I said in the beginning, we had the responsibility to contact the national authority, government, to say what's happening and how do we cope with this. And we know that this will happen again because there are a lot of ships coming around our coasts, and I'm sure that some accident will happen again. So I think this is really important that we are on our toes the next time when it happens. What changes do I believe are needed for the future? I've talked about it a lot. Shared platforms, we have to have geodata that are open and that we can fast share with each other if such a thing that I showed you before happens. And I think this is really important that we are working together and in ISO standards, and that we have more standards in place, because I think collaboration is the key, but I think also that standards are the tool to make this happen and make this work. Thank you. Maybe we are thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Sandra. I did like your last slide because I think standards can help with quite a lot of what you mentioned in the last slide. We are running a bit ahead of time, so does anyone have any immediate questions for Sandra? Immediate questions?
I'll be here all day, so please talk to me.
Yeah, you catch Sandra during the break.